Welcome back, tweezers. First, thanks to Joe Hickey for recommending the subject of this video. And if you have a subject which relates to the social sciences and would like to see it covered, then drop a comment below. A new study by 3 MIT scholars has found that false news spreads more rapidly on the social network Twitter than real news does, and by a substantial margin. Moreover, the scholars found the spread of false information is essentially not due to bots that are programmed to disseminate inaccurate stories. Instead, false news speeds faster around Twitter due to people retweeting inaccurate news items. My guess is that the paper is going to get picked up as scientific proof that bots don't really matter. And this paper does indeed show that, if we are looking at the full lifespan of Twitter. But the real bots debate assumes that their usage has recently escalated because strategic actors have poured resources into their use. The paper doesn't refute that assumption, said Dave Karp, a political scientist at George Washington University. The study provides a variety of ways of quantifying the phenomenon. For instance, false news stories are 70% more likely to be retweeted than true stories are. It also takes true stories about 6 times as long to reach 1,500 people as it does for false stories to reach the same number of people. When it comes to Twitter's cascades or unbroken retweet chains, falsehoods reach a cascade depth of about 20 times faster than facts, and falsehoods are retweeted by unique users more broadly than true statements at every depth of cascade. To conduct the study, the researchers tracked roughly 126,000 cascades of news stories spreading on Twitter, which were cumulatively tweeted over 4.5 million times by about 3 million people, from the years 2006 to 2017. The study has already prompted alarm from social scientists. We must redesign our information ecosystem in the 21st century, wrote a group of 16 political scientists and legal scholars in the scientific journal Science. They call for a new drive of research to reduce the spread of fake news and to address the underlying pathologies it has revealed. To determine whether stories were true or false, the team used the assessments of 6 fact-checking organizations: factcheck.org, hoaxslayer.com, politicalfact.com, snoops.com, trutforfiction.com, and urbanlegends.about.com, and found that their judgments overlapped more than 95% of the time. Of the 126,000 cascades, politics comprised the biggest news category, with about 45,000, followed by urban legends, business, terrorism, science, entertainment, and natural disasters. The spread of false news stories was more pronounced for political news than for the news in the other categories. However, the biggest limitation of the study is the comparison sample of true news. The researchers pulled stories that were verified as true by fact-checking websites and similarly traced their paths through the Twitter ecosystem. They also added a few other true stories selected by research assistants. Still, it may be comparing apples to oranges. Fact-checking websites ascertain whether or not stories are false once they are already persuasive and widely circulated. The true stories may not have been as viral. It's also the case that we get true stories through a wide variety of outlets, whereas many rumors originate on Twitter. When there's an active shooter situation on a school campus, for example, we might hear about it from several sources: television, radio, text messages from friends, etc. It's qualitatively different from a Twitter rumor that can be traced back to a handful of people. There's a million important true stories that got a lot of attention, David Rand, a Yale psychologist who studies the spread of misinformation, says. That's why it's hard to know what the right comparison group should be in this research, says Rand, who was not involved in the science paper. Is it right to compare the rivalry of conspiracy theories about students acting as crisis actors to news about weather or stock market numbers? It's hard to say. Some political scientists also question the study's definition of news. By turning to the fact-checking sites, the study blurs together a wide range of false information: outright lies, urban legends, hoaxes, spoofs, falsehoods, and fake news. It does not just look at fake news by itself, that is, articles or videos that look like news content and which appear to have gone through a journalistic process, but which are actually made up. Therefore, the study may undercount non-contested news, accurate news that is, widely understood to be true. For many years, the most retweeted post in Twitter's history was the celebrated Obama's re-election as president. But as his victory was not widely disputed, Snoops and other fact-checking websites never confirmed it. But even if we forget the comparison to true news stories, this science paper demonstrates something true and frustrating about news on Twitter. False stories can spread quickly and deeply, and it's important to know why and who is behind it. To this question, the researchers looked at whether false news stories were spreading peer-to-peer or whether they were being broadcast by huge accounts with millions of followers. and they found that people who spread false news had significantly fewer followers, were less often verified, and were less active on Twitter, Harrell says. In other words, it's the rank and file who spread false news. The study was conducted using exclusive data that the company made available to MIT. Their work has implications for Facebook, YouTube, and every major social network. Any platform that regularly amplifies engaging or provocative content runs the risk of amplifying fake news along with it. What does this look like in real life? Take 2 examples from the US presidential election. In August 2015, a rumor circulated on social media that Donald Trump had let a sick child use his plane to get urgent medical care. Snopes confirmed almost all of the tale as true. But according to the team's estimates, only about 1,300 people shared or retweeted the story. In February 2016, a rumor developed that Trump's elderly cousin had recently died and that he had opposed the magnate's presidential bid in his obituary. As a proud bearer of the Trump name, I implore you all, please don't let that walk-in mucus bag become president, the obituary reportedly said. But Snopes could not find evidence of the cousin or his obituary and rejected the story as false. Nonetheless, roughly 38,000 Twitter users shared the story and put together a retweet chain 3 times as long as the sick child's story managed. A full story alleging the boxer Floyd Mayweather had worn a Muslim headscarf to a Trump rally also reached an audience more than 10 times the size of the sick child's story. Why does falsehood do so well? The MI team settled on 2 hypotheses. First, fake news seems to be more novel than real news. Falsehoods are often notably different from all the tweets that have appeared in the user's timeline 60 days prior to the retweeting them, the team found. Second, fake news invokes much more emotion than the average tweet. The researchers created a database of the words that Twitter users use to reply to the 126,000 contested tweets, then analysed it with a state-of-the-art sentiment analysis tool. Fake tweets tended to elicit words associated with surprise and disgust, while accurate tweets summoned words associated with sadness and trust, they found. Political scientists and social media researchers largely praised the study, saying it gave the broadest and most rigorous look so far into the scale of the fake news problem on social networks, though some disputed its findings about bots and questioned its definition of news.